Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about the strategic and surprisingly ancient sport of curling. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. Today, curlers use high-tech carbon fiber brushes with synthetic heads, but legend has it that the original brooms weren't designed for melting ice at all. It's said that in the 1500s, players actually used household corn straw brooms because curling was played outdoors on frozen lakes, and the sweepers were actually just clearing away real snow, dirt, and even bird feathers so the rock wouldn't hit a bump. What do you think? Were the first sweepers really just trying to clean the ice? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is pebble. That's P-E-B-B-L-E. In most ice sports, like hockey or figure skating, the goal is to have the ice as smooth and flat as possible. In curling, though, smooth ice is actually the enemy. Before the game starts, an official called the Iceman walks across the rink with a specialized nozzle and sprays a fine mist of water over the surface. These tiny water droplets freeze instantly into small bumps, creating a textured surface known as pebbled ice. The word pebble comes from the Old English pebble, which means a small stone worn smooth by water, which is ironic because curling pebbles are actually what make the ice rough. This texture is vital because it reduces the surface area contact between the heavy stone and the ice. Without tiny frozen bumps, the suction between the flat stone and the flat ice would be so strong the stone wouldn't glide more than a few feet. The pebble allows the stone to ride on top of the bumps, giving it an incredible glide and curl that gives the sport its name. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about curling. Number 1. All Olympic curling stones come from a single tiny island in Scotland. Every single granite stone used in the Winter Olympics is harvested from a small, uninhabited island called Ailsa Craig located off the coast of Scotland. This specific granite is unique because it's water resistant and incredibly hard, meaning it won't crack or absorb moisture when it collides with other stones on the freezing ice. The thing is, the island is a protected wildlife sanctuary, so the granite can only be harvested once every few years under very strict environmental rules. Once the raw stone is harvested, it's sent to the Caves of Scotland factory, which has been making curling stones since 1851. Each stone is carefully shaped, polished, and fitted with a handle until it weighs between 38 and 44 pounds. Because this rare Ailsa Craig granite is so durable, a high-quality curling stone can last for over 50 years of regular play. Number 2. The sweeping in curling is actually a high-speed physics demonstration. When you see athletes frantically sweeping the ice in front of a moving stone, they aren't just cleaning away dust, they're actually melting the ice. The friction created by the vigorous brushing generates a tiny amount of heat, which creates a microscopic thin film of water on top of the pebbles. This thin layer of water acts as a lubricant, reducing friction and allowing the stone to travel up to 10 or 15 feet further than it would without the sweeping. Sweeping also helps control the curl or the curve of the stone. By sweeping more on one side than the other, the team can influence the direction the stone travels, effectively steering a 40-pound rock with nothing but a brush. And it's a lot of work. I mean, this is a physically exhausting task. A top tier sweeper can exert enough pressure to reach heart rates similar to a sprinter, all while trying to maintain perfect balance on a slippery surface. Number 3. Curling is one of the only sports in the world with an honor system that compels athletes to call fouls on themselves. Curling is famous for being the most polite sport in the Olympics, governed by a tradition called the spirit of curling. This code of honor means that players never cheer when an opponent makes a mistake, and athletes are expected to call their own fouls. If a player accidentally touches a moving stone with their broom, called a burnt stone, they're expected to admit it immediately, even if the referee didn't see it happen. This culture of sportsmanship extends even after the game is over. By tradition, the winning team is expected to buy the losing team a drink or a snack in the clubhouse to discuss the game and celebrate the friendship between the two sides. It's a sport built on mutual respect where being a good sport is considered just as important as being good at the sport. Number 4. The skip is the master strategist who acts as the team's brain. In curling, the leader of the team is called the skip. While the other 3 players do the throwing and sweeping, the skip stands at the far end of the ice, the house, and uses their broom to point exactly where they want the stone to land. They're essentially playing a giant game of ice billiards, calculating angles, the speed of the ice, and the potential moves of the opposing team several turns in advance. Being a skip requires incredible mental focus and good communication skills. You'll often hear the skip shouting instructions like hurry or hard to the sweepers to tell them exactly how much friction is needed. Because they have to account for the changing conditions of the ice throughout the match, the skip has to be part physicist, part motivational speaker, and part strategist to lead their team to victory. And our 5th and final fun fact for today: curling was once an outdoor sport played on frozen lochs and ponds. Long before the invention of indoor arenas and climate-controlled ice, curling was a community event played on the frozen lakes or lochs of Scotland. Because natural ice is never perfectly flat, the game was much more unpredictable and relied on the luck of the rock. Entire villages would gather on the ice for grand matches where hundreds of people would play simultaneously in a massive festival of winter sport. The oldest curling stone in existence, known as the Stirling Stone, dates all the way back to 1511, which means people have been competitively sliding rocks on ice for over 500 years. While modern curlers have moved the sport indoors to ensure the ice is perfect, many Scottish communities still wait for a great frost cold enough to freeze the lochs so they can play the game exactly as their ancestors did centuries ago. Now for some news you can use. If you want to throw a stone like a pro, you have to master the release. In curling, weight refers to the speed of the stone. Beginners often try to push the stone with their arms, but a pro uses the momentum of their sliding body to provide the power. When you release the stone, your arm should be steady and you give the handle a tiny gentle turn, either an in turn or an out turn, just as you let it go. This tiny rotation is what makes the stone curl as it slows down. Think of it like a slow motion curveball in baseball. If you don't give it that little twist, the stone will just slide straight, making it much easier for your opponent to knock it out of the way. And now the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, were those curling brooms originally just to clear snow and debris off the ice? Well, that's a fact. Centuries ago, when the game was played on natural outdoor ice, the sweepers weren't trying to melt ice with friction, they were literally trying to keep a clear path. Because the ice was exposed to the elements, it would often be covered in fresh snow, twigs, or dirt. Players used their kitchen brooms to vigorously sweep the path so the stone wouldn't get stuck. It wasn't until the game moved indoors that scientists and players realized the heat from the friction actually changed the speed and direction of the stone, turning the broom from a cleaning tool into a steering tool. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about curling with me today, and be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.